A year that started in the midst of a second wave.
Well, 2021 has gotten off to a ridiculous start.
Yeah, I came back from holiday last week Sunday and got back into the battle trenches early Monday morning, and I basically haven't left those trenches since Monday morning, the start of this week. It's an absolute battlefield here. It's catastrophic, it's cataclysmic, you can say whichever synonym you want to say, but it's absolutely disastrous, and it's a true pandemic that we're in at the moment. This second wave is far worse than the first wave that we had.
And was followed by a devastating third.
We are in the midst of the third wave, and I'm not referring to Eskom, I am referring to COVID-19.
I look like that because this is the state of the nation at the moment. Unfortunately, I am at work today because the numbers are ever increasing.
Are you playing God?
So we are playing God, and we're not meaning to play God, but we don't have a choice. And it's unfortunate, but unfortunately, as they did in Italy and as they did in Spain, the extremely frail and elderly people who are over a certain age are not made first criteria for a ventilator. Some of the major comorbidities over somebody who's 45 years old is put through an ethics committee, and it's decided that which patient should be getting the ventilator first.
There certainly were hard times.
Dr. Anton Meyberg, before we let you go, it is Father's Day, and we managed, you're not able, unfortunately, to see your family, maybe until significantly later today. So we went to your family and we asked them to send you a very quick message. Here it is.
Happy Father's Day, Abba. We love and miss you. Hope to see you later. We are so proud of you.
And there were good times in between.
Oh, thank God, Marco, thank God you guys.
I don't know why, because that was the funniest thing.
With a host of variants.
We're seeing sick people regardless what type of variant it is. It's the same type of treatment. So the treatment doesn't change whether it's variant A or variant B, whether it's variant 5Y01 or B1 or Z or whatever the actual variant is, the treatment doesn't change.
And we have had news that the Delta variant is alive and well in South Africa.
And vaccines.
I'm very well.
Ignore your silly question, but in answer to that question, I have received my vaccine, thank God.
A lot has changed. The one constant throughout, though, was the relentless coverage by Howard and Anton and the Synthesis podcast. And for that, we all thank you. And now we ask ourselves for a fourth time, what's new?
A very good morning to you. It is Sunday, the 28th of November, 2021. And here we are. Sunday is fun day. It's not called new. Apparently, it's called Omicron. I was a bit offended. I thought if the South African scientists had identified it, then we at least should have been able to name it. Some of the names I would have thought of, Eskom. Why not call it Eskom? Because that way our waves and our stages and our levels could all be combined, and we all hate Eskom anyway, so that would have been perfect. Other people suggested the name like Bliksem. What's wrong with you? I've got Bliksem, or maybe Gatvol, because I am Gatvol, as we all are around this. We thought that could be a good name. I thought maybe even call it the ANC, because everybody hates the ANC anyway. I do believe, however, that the World Health Organization said that's not even fair to the virus to call it something like that. Either way, it is called Omicron. It is a new variant, and there is panic. We are going to try and take it down a notch. Dr. Anton Meyberg, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, sir. I don't know how much more notch we can take it down after that, but I think we should just end the podcast there.
Are we done? Are we done?
We're done. That's it. Fourth wave over. Thanks for playing. Okay.
Yeah, what are we calling it?
The end.
Right, exactly.
But a new beginning coming forth. Okay, so there are currently 261 million cases worldwide, with 5.2 million deaths and 236 million cases resolved. The United States has 49 million cases with 799,000 deaths. India has 34 million cases with 468,000 deaths. And Brazil has 614,000 deaths. South Africa, 2,958,548 cases with 89,791 deaths and 3,220 new cases in the last 24 hours, a 9.2% test positivity rate, of which 2,629 of those cases are in Gauteng. In the hospitals, there are currently 750 people in hospital in Gauteng, with 59 in ICU and 22 currently ventilated. And of the adult population, we have approximately about 35% above the age of 18 who are currently vaccinated.
Okay, so we have so many things to go through. The first thing I always like to ask you is, what are you seeing in the hospital?
Okay, so that's quite an important question, but I think it's not something we can harp on at the moment, because what we do know is generally when these cases come about, it does take about 2 to 3 weeks for the hospitals to catch up. So the numbers are extremely low in hospitals, which is very, very, very good to see at the moment. Mm-hmm. We've currently got one case in our hospital, and even this case is not really a COVID case. It's a patient that came in for other things and was by the bar found to have COVID. So across the board, generally the hospitals are very quiet at the moment, but they are gearing up for worse things, unfortunately.
Is there anxiety around this? And we're going to go through the details of what Omicron is, but is there anxiety around it, the speed at which it's happened? Is it the fact that it caught everybody by surprise? Is it the fast climbing numbers? What is it? What has caused this mass panic almost?
So one of my colleagues this morning gave quite a nice analogy of it. And they said the anagram of the word Omicron is moronic. And that actually makes a lot of sense, because the way people have responded to this is moronic. To put travel bans on it, to everything that's been happening, it's ridiculous. We've known for a long time there's going to be a fourth wave. Mm-hmm. We've known we're going to have to curb things. We've known we're going to think. We have always thought, though, that the fourth wave is going to affect the unvaccinated more than vaccinated. And we've always thought that if you are vaccinated, you will get sick with breakthrough infections. It's very possible, but it'll be very mild disease, like someone who's had influenza.
Okay, let's start.
So the panic is, there's too much panic. There's a lot of knee-jerk reaction to this, and a lot of panic, and people need to actually, for lack of better words, breathe.
Right. Well, which is part of the problem with COVID, but never mind that. What is the new variant? Let's start there.
So the new variant is now called Omicron. As we've said, it is B11529. It is the 15th letter of the Greek alphabet. And this was picked up by our genomic surveillance teams, who actually found it on the first patient in Botswana, not in South Africa. And they picked it up actually on the 11th of November. This patient was tested on the 9th of November. So there's a 2-day lag to picking it up. And it's a very easily pickable up type of genome on a normal PCR test. So you can pick it up on any PCR test. So you don't have to do a specific one for that. The big problem we're seeing with it is there's over 30, maybe even 32 mutations, of which 9 are on the so-called spike protein. And the vaccine antibodies and neutralizing antibodies work against the spike protein. So because it's new and we're not defining, and we don't actually know a lot about it, we believe it probably is more contagious, and it might lead to antibody sensitivity being reduced. Therefore, that would make it more contagious. But what we think is that our T-cell immunity should be preserved and should give us good cover, and therefore the severity of the disease might not be as bad as we think. But it's all up in the air because it's just too soon. We don't know. It can take about 3 to 4 weeks before we really, truly understand what we are dealing with. And that's why I said earlier, there's such a knee-jerk response to rush into it. You know, it's called a variant of concern. We've had other variants of concern that have really, done nothing. And, the world's gone crazy. It's found in Botswana. It's found in South Africa. It's found in the United Kingdom. It's found in Hong Kong, Brussels, Israel, Egypt, Turkey. It's all over the world already. So why are we going crazy about this? I can't answer that question.
Okay, so you've actually answered the question I was going to ask you about your thoughts on travel bans. But how worried should we be about this? How worried are you?
Well, Or if we speak about travel bans, I just got to say something that it's not an evidence-based decision. They don't work. We know they don't work. Once again, they're moronic, okay? They're political tools that are being used by governments to show that they're doing something, but all they're doing is creating damage and perpetuating disease-related stigma. So the variants spread. It's all over the world. What is it going to help to block one country or multiple countries in Africa when the variants all over the world already? The only way to stop this is to stop travel all over the world from every single country, like an island like New Zealand, that stops every single country from coming there, closes its borders and contains it there. That's the only way to do it, but it's just not practical. So, yeah.
In other words, you either do it fully or you don't do it at all, because the way in which it's done, all it does is stigmatize and create incredible hardship, economic hardship and personal hardship for many people. Okay, how worried should we be about this new variant?
So we've got to ask ourselves a few questions. What worries us about variants? Okay, is it because there's increased transmissibility of the virus? Is there that term that people are talking about, an escape vaccine or infection-induced immunity? In other words, will it break through the vaccine? Will the vaccine be effective? Or does it cause increased severity, increased hospitalization or death? It's going to take a number of weeks to understand this. We don't have the answers to these questions yet. But just because something's got more mutations doesn't mean it's more severe. And I think that's very important. And I think to bring it up while we're discussing this, there are a lot of people all over the world fobbing off our scientists because they've run and found this. We are blessed. Our scientists deserve the claim that they need and they're going to get from this, because they've, with their swift response, they've alerted the world bodies to this and will now enable the world bodies to be able to decode this and help us understand this a bit further. And hopefully we'll be able to, if necessary, alter vaccines even. So it's very easy now at this stage where you are to take the mRNA vaccines and to take the viral vector vaccines and modify them to a different type of vaccine that will be more applicable to this if necessary. But once again, we'll only know this in a number of weeks when we see what the response is.
In terms of the criticism of our scientists, surely if they did withhold this information until they knew more, they could be accused of doing what China is accused of doing, which is not being responsible.
It would have been devastating.
Yeah.
First of all, it would have been devastating. And second of all, no one would have known what's going on. And it would have caused mass havoc. It would have been much worse. But to punish us because we've brought it to the world's attention, because we've got such brilliant scientists who are in the forehead or the forefront of TB and HIV and understand how to work and look for these things, it's ludicrous. It's moronic.
All right. So why do you think this mutation has come up now?
Yeah, that's also quite an interesting question. And I think that's got a lot to do with the vaccines, not because of the vaccines, but because of lack of vaccines. If you look all over the world, if you look at the United Kingdom and you look at the United States, the whole of Europe, these are vaccine-rich countries that have all got the vaccines. You take a country like Botswana, who ordered 50 million Moderna or however many Moderna vaccines, never got one of those vaccines because those vaccines went to the richer countries. So if you take sub-Saharan Africa that have been punished, or takes Africa that's been punished, can't really say sub-Saharan Africa because we've got over 16 million vaccines that are waiting to be used and deployed here. So that's another different discussion. But a big part of it is the vaccine equity and the availability of vaccines throughout Africa. And then another important fact is that we've got a huge population of HIV positive people in this country. And when you're immune suppressed with HIV, there's a big chance that the virus can mutate if you're not treated. On the other hand, if you're using drugs like the protease inhibitors, which we've discussed before, which we're using for treatment now in patients with HIV, these could also alter the genomic standing of or mutation of the virus and cause different things to happen. So there's quite a host of reasons why these things actually are happening and can happen.
Okay, and just going back one more time to the travel situation, your thoughts on a provincial travel ban within South Africa, does that make any sense to you?
Huge mistake, massive mistake. How to destroy the morale of a country, how to destroy a country financially, how to ruin the country, how to actually break a country down and destroy it. It would be the biggest mistake ever. If we're commenting that it's a mistake to make a worldwide ban, why would we want to do interprovincial? It's just not going to work. If you're going to block if it's in Gauteng now, it's in all the other provinces. It's spread all over.
That's what I was thinking. How's
What
it going to help?
do is you've got to set out the laws. You've got to get vaccinated. You've got to boost as soon as possible. You've got to work in ventilated spaces. You've got to wear your masks and test. And if you're positive, you have to isolate. Those are the rules you've got to follow. Banning flights and banning travel is not going to help us.
Interestingly enough, in the last week, I know a number of people who have tested COVID positive. Most of them are very, very mild in terms of the symptoms. One of our viewers, Harry, says Dr. Angelique Kutsia, the chairwoman of the South African Medical Association, is quoted as saying that Omicron causes only mild disease. Given the time lapse between diagnosis and serious illness, hospitalizations and death, is this observation not premature?
Sure. Yeah. I think we've got to be very careful about making bland or broad statements like that, saying that it's mild. We don't know yet. You know, the case that was transcribed in Hong Kong, there was an 11-day lag between the patient testing positive before the patient actually got sick. So vaccines play a major role in this. We know that even if the vaccines aren't 100% effective, they will still give you some antibody protection and some T cells, some other antibody protection. So you get a cellular and a humoral and an adaptive immune response in order to protect yourself against these vaccines. So vaccines, no doubt, play a big role in this, but we don't know what the disease affectation is going to be from this different variant. Look, the best case scenario would be that because, you know, the disease is keeping on mutating, hopefully it can work out to be like the Spanish flu of 1918 that kept on mutating and eventually became so mutated it didn't really do much harm, but became an endemic flu. It kept on giving influenza on a yearly basis, but not causing the mass havoc of a pandemic. So I think the key here is to make sure that you are vaccinated, because vaccines definitely do help with it. And if you're unvaccinated, you're going to end up in trouble, as we've said many times before.
Is there a difference between the Pfizer and the Johnson as far as Omicron is concerned?
Impossible to say. Pfizer, Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, AstraZeneca are all testing now to see the susceptibility of their vaccines, the effectivity of the vaccines, to see how they work. And as I said, if they find they aren't strong enough, they can alter them within a number of weeks to change the actual formula and then decide on if you would need a booster or not.
We've had a lot of people asking us over the last couple of weeks if they've had the Johnson, should they wait to see if they can get the Pfizer, or should they just go and get the other Johnson? Given these developments, if you've had one Johnson and you are due or eligible to have another, should you go and get the Johnson now or still wait to see?
Look, we're in a weird situation here, because although we've got 16 million vaccines, they're not readily available. So if you've been part of the Sisonke trial and you've had your J&J vaccine and you are due for another J&J, I would say go and get the J&J now, because at least you know you're getting an extra buffer of protection. However, we also do know that on the 1st of December, they're allowing for boosters for people who are immune suppressed with autoimmune diseases, with certain cancers and chemotherapy, with kidney dialysis, that type of thing, to give you a boost. I'm not sure which vaccine they're going to boost you with. That's open for discussion, but already there is starting to be a bit of a paradigm shift in the fact that they are going to start boosting people, but it's not soon enough. It should be done from today.
And what about people like teachers who were able to get, for example, the Johnson & Johnson? They aren't...
Well, then they effectively on the Sisonke trial. If they got the Johnson & Johnson as part of the Sisonke trial, then they will get a J&J booster.
Would you support not allowing teachers who haven't been vaccinated at all from entering the classroom?
Totally. I think it's unacceptable. I wouldn't allow my child to be in that class.
We've had a lot of questions as well around activities, what people should be doing, what they shouldn't be doing now. Let's start off with the easiest one as far as I'm concerned, which is rage. I saw a headline yesterday that the Lito rage is still going ahead. Bring me a wall that I can smash my head against it. Seriously?
Yeah, I cannot understand this. You know, last year, there were 870 positive cases from the rage. How many people died because of that? Imagine having that on your shoulder, knowing that you were the cause of the death of thousands of people because you wanted to make some money. It's not about giving the kids happiness. All it is for these guys is making money. Rage should be banned. They should be shot. They should be arrested. I don't care what they do. Take these guys out of the equation. It's not something we can deal with now. Once you bring alcohol and young kids into the equation, they cannot control themselves. Yes, they have been cooped up for the last year, for the last 2 years. Now you're giving them an out and a false out. And let's also say something, that they're saying that they'll test the kids. They'll do PCR tests on the kids. You know, there was a flight that happened that went to the Netherlands of over 700 people, and over 10%, of 60 people are positive. Now, why are they positive when they get there and they're not positive when they leave here? Because they're not being tested properly. In other words, you aren't sticking the swab in the right place. It's quick in and out. It's very easy to get a negative result if you don't do it properly. You have to swab the person properly. So we can make ways to get negative swabs. There's make ways to do all these things. And it's just not going to work. Rage needs to be stopped. As a parent, you are culpable if you send your child on rage. It's a disgrace.
Okay. Clearly put. And I think that's an easy one. Let's talk about camp. Youth camps, I think where we're at the moment is just there shouldn't be camps, because now you get one case, the whole camp will have to close down. You know, it's not you cannot go. It's such an emotional thing for these people. I do understand that, I really do, but you've got to take the emotion out of these things. You've got to make it about the reality of where we're at, what we're dealing with, seeing how the numbers are screaming up, seeing how community numbers are screaming up. Regardless of the fact that people are critically or severely ill, that still can happen in the next 2 weeks. You know, if we were in, as I spoke some this morning, if we're in October now and this was happening and we had 2 or 3 weeks to see where we were going, maybe then we could discuss camp. But right now, as far as I'm concerned, camp should be a no-no. Okay, so if it does go ahead, your advice to parents?
Look, I'll make it very simple. I'm not sending my own kid on camp. I think that's the answer.
Although that said, you know, the last time we spoke 2 weeks ago, you'd made it very clear that that's the decision that you've taken and it was right for your family. We had decided, in fact, 2 weeks ago that my daughter was going to camp. Given what's happened, the decision is very simple. She's now not going. So things have changed, I believe.
100%. Things have changed, and you've got to really look at what's going on with regards to the community, with the numbers, what's going on all over. And it's just not something that we can actually give a protection. You know, you go taking a bunch of kids that you're trying to protect them, you can't.
And this is a very difficult one, very, very difficult. And I just don't know what to say about it. Almost don't even want to ask the question, but we've had so many questions from very concerned parents. Matric dances are going ahead. Apparently there's a few of them happening tonight. Parents saying, please keep this anonymous or my kids will kill me. I understand that. I'm not going to name and shame, but I do know who you are. No, it's a very difficult one. What are parents meant to do? What are kids meant to do?
I don't think the responsibility should be on the kids. I don't think it should be on them at all. It should be a responsibility on the parents and on the schools. The schools should have should be brave enough to actually say, guys, this is what we're going through. We cannot expose you all. I mean, I've heard of certain dances where they're going to be locking the kids up together from 11 o'clock till 4 o'clock in the morning in a contained unit where they're all together so they don't have to go out during the curfew. That's a super spreading event. Make no doubts about that in your mind. That is a super spreading event, and we are looking for further trouble.
Okay, so rage is an absolute no-no. Camp, you're saying, is a no-no. The matric dance, can they have a dance but not the after party, or you just would?
They could get away with a dance if they do it properly. They really could, but the after party is where the trouble starts.
Yeah, I think that, and there's absolutely no control there. Another question, it seems that the new strain is resistant to both Pfizer and Johnson. I know 3 people who currently have COVID all been vaccinated, but they all have it mildly. That's back to that same type of a question.
Yeah, so we don't believe it is resistant to that. We do believe that, and we've said this throughout the whole sort of genesis of the vaccines, is that you can get breakthrough infections with the vaccine. And most likely 95% of the time, they are mild infections. and it prevents you from getting hospitalized and from severe disease, from needing oxygen or from needing to be in hospital.
So that is, and a lot of questions are about boosters as well. So when you speak about boosters from the 1st of December, who exactly is going to qualify? How does one qualify for it? Do you need to go to your doctor?
So there's a special form. Right. There's a special form that we put out to the public from the Department of Health. You'll need to get it vetted by your doctor, who will have to show that you are on chemotherapy, or you are a kidney transplant patient, or you've got some severe immune suppressive disease that requires
comorbidity.
Fat feet. No, fat feet don't count.
Yes. I couldn't, I could never do the army because my feet are very, very flat. I couldn't even do security in the school.
Fat feet do definitely not count for a comorbidity.
All right, we'll keep working on it then, or we'll find another doctor. So, okay. So it has to be something pretty real, is what you're saying at this stage.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I do believe that there are going to be boosters. I really believe that you just got to hang on there, go through the motions, do it properly, let the people who are due for them get them. And as we go along, more people will get their boosters.
Right. In terms of this Omicron, how do we treat it in the same way if people have all been vaccinated, but then you have exposure to somebody who is positive? What are we meant to do then?
So right now, we're in the same boat as we were in the third wave, in the second wave. Even though we have got some people vaccinated, it's not like it is overseas, where, as I say, there's more than 60 to 70% of the population being vaccinated. Here we've only got 35%. So because of that, we still have to isolate. We still have to do the 10 days of isolation. We've still got to follow the same rules of quarantine and isolation.
All right. In terms of elderly people, should they once again stop seeing family? Should they, or can we continue in the same way as long as we do it safely?
I think barring the last few days of shocking weather, we're going into summer now. So it makes it a lot easier to see people outside with your masks on. You can do it, you can maintain it, just do it safely. There's no reason for it not to happen if you wear your mask, if you social distance, if you've got hugely, widely open spaces outside where you can be with people, then you can do it properly.
At this stage, there's been no word from government in terms of which level we're at, in terms of changing anything like that, whether they're going to be limiting indoor, outdoor, and things like that. What would your advice be, irrespective of what the regulations are?
Look, whether it's advice, my feeling is they're going to take us up to level 3 in the next while. There's no doubt about that. Once again, it's that response, that reaction, where they're going to stop alcohol, they're going to stop this, they're going to stop cigarettes, they're going to stop everything. Look, I've never had a problem stopping cigarettes, but they're going to have their knee-jerk reactions. They can't ban interprovincial travel. It makes absolutely no sense from any of their point of view. But what I'm
not even sure that people will listen.
Yeah, 100%. But what I do say is that you need to get vaccinated. If you are vaccinated, get your booster as soon as you can when it's legal to do so. Stay in ventilated spaces. Don't go to big drinking events or big eating events where you're around people where you have to take your mask off. If you are eating, eat outside in wide, spread out areas. If you are positive or you've been exposed to somebody, test, quarantine, isolate. Follow the same rules as we followed throughout the last few waves, and then you can actually maintain this and get this going in the right direction. We've got to squash this right now. We've got to hit it hard. And the way to hit it hard is to vaccinate and to follow the rules and wear your masks, People have become very lax in wearing their masks under their nose, under their chin, not wearing them at all.
Right. Is there good news?
There's always good news. Of course, there's good news. How can there not be good news when Liverpool win 4-0 again for the second week in a row against Southampton? What a great result. Okay. Another thing of good news, tonight's Hanukkah, the Festival of Lights. It's a nice 8-day festival where we get to celebrate and we get to light candles and we get to be some sort of joyousness. Yeah. Let's hope for the miracles. Let's hope for that 8-day miracle that can postpone the wave till way after December so we can all have a good holiday, please God. And to quote, forget the mistake. Remember the lesson. Wishing you all a safe week. Be well, look after yourselves, don't forget the rules, and we can do this and we can get through this.
Thank you, Dr. Anton Meyberg. This is the 28th of November, 2021. In theory, it is our last podcast of the year for 2021. I'm not absolutely convinced that is going to be the case. Don't tell Dr. Meyberg because he doesn't realize it, but I think there's a good chance we will need to update in the next few weeks. But we are hoping that we can have a little bit of a break, and that certainly Dr. Meyberg can have a break through till 2022 in January when we come back. As I said, we have a responsibility to you, and you don't need to worry. We will bring you the information if it is necessary to do so. Stay tuned, because Marco, who first, I would like to give a public shout out to Marco. Thank you for everything that you've done for us over the year, every single Sunday. And it takes an entire day to put these things together. And I can tell you, neither of us, Anton or myself, are particularly easygoing when it comes to the stuff. It is not easy to work with us always. So Marco, thank you for your incredible, incredible work. And on behalf of Anton, on behalf of everybody, thank you very, very much. Stay tuned, because Marco has put together some of our lighter moments. I hope you enjoy. Just chill, relax. It'll be okay. We'll get through this. God bless. You want to behave so we can actually do this, Anton?
No, I should feel like misbehaving.
I know you do.
I feel like causing cuck. Let's cause cuck.
You know what? Suddenly you developed a sense of humor. I don't even know where that came from. When did it happen?
We really have a lot of fun bringing you this podcast. And over the course of a year, there's a lot of banter.
Are we ready?
Yeah, I'm just sorry I missed that. But anyway.
Yeah, it's okay. All is good.
Yeah, Marco, you definitely missed the boat these days, eh?
It's not what it used to be.
You and those ivermectin trainees, yes.
What? Yeah.
Ever since you started taking ivermectin, Marco.
So should we blame the ivermectin or the COVID?
Well, because if you...
Definitely ivermectin.
What do they say? If you lie down with horse manure, what do you expect?
Or the Johnson & Johnson.
There's no Johnson for you if you don't get your COVID vaccine.
Yeah, exactly. All right, can we go? Can we start? 1, 2, 3. No. You see, that's not going to work, Anton. You want to clear your throat as I say 1, 2, 3, and I pull it towards me.
Well, I was getting bored with you already. You upped your game a bit.
Wow, it's going to be
What's
one
today?
of those.
Breast Awareness Day that you're wearing pink.
Oh, excuse me. I'm not the one with cleavage. Excuse me.
Depends who you ask. How's that man, bro?
I don't know, but if your shirt got any lower, we would have to put a PG.
What are you even looking for? What the hell is wrong with you?
Can we start this recording, please?
Please, I'm desperate.
That's not my business, but let's get going anyway. Especially because he's not nearly as funny as he thinks he is.
Too late. Who are you kidding? And you go deal with Beavis and Butthead on the other side. You tell me about it.
Oh, wow. All right, who's who as a matter of interest?
Would you even know who they are?
Okay, let's go. Let's start recording this, because otherwise this is actually going to be very interesting.
I think Howard's just really hoping he's not butthead, because Beavis sounds far more appealing, whether you've watched the show or not.
Neither of them.
If you look at him carefully, he does look like a bit of a butthead. But anyway, you want to...
Neither of them sound particularly appealing.
Yeah.
Okay,
that's the biggest thing.
We are not shaming people who get COVID, Anton.
Definitely not. We're just shaming Marco.
Oh, okay.
It's so bad for our brand image. I mean, if there's a 30% pickup rate in this group.
We can do this afterwards. Let's get started.
No, we can't. I've actually got work to do, guys. I mean, people like Marco don't listen. I've got to work.
One wouldn't have thought so.
Yeah, on your laptop, remember you using your laptop.
Oh, woman. Yes, blah, blah, blah. Howard, you look very religious with a white shirt on.
I am religious, Anton. I'm a man of
Since when? Since when? That's rich.
You wouldn't have been very
well, aren't you missing that ring around your neck? That little thing, collar.
I like a ring around your neck, but that's something different. Okay, can we...
Howard, you're frozen again. Marcus, we'll just get rid of Howard and just do me and you.
What a morning. What episode is this? 61. We still
61 for the day. You just went.
yeah.
And I didn't hear what I said. And what did I say? How did it sound,
You
eh?
said that you are an absolute imbecile, and we accept that.
Okay, fine.
I don't think we should be speaking about your fallacy on live air. I'm just saying, it's not a good idea.
I didn't say it's a phallus. I said a pathetic fallacy. So what it is, moron, is when the weather outside matches the mood inside. So we use like weather and the natural things.
Oh my
that
God,
are,
he's talking psychological. He's actually mumbo jumbo.
No, I'm talking literature, but I'm sorry, you can't write. It's really not something to which I should expect you to relate.
No,
Okay.
definitely not.
Howard, can you check your audio settings quickly?
Wait, hold on.
There we yeah,
Is that better?
much better.
Wow, amazing how when you use the right tools.
Rich coming from you. All right, so what is it, like cliche hour now? All right. Anton, pull yourself together.
I was just wondering if we're going back to that other story with your little problems.
There are a lot of laughs.
I don't know why, because that was the funniest thing. We'll tell Marco that story afterwards. All right,
Yeah.
Marco, have we got a story for you? Okay, here we go.
And sometimes it's just barking mad.
Is the... just hold on 1 second while we kill a dog in this room.
Exactly how many people have got the virus post the vaccination. We'll just wait for a second. Can you shut up? Hold on, I'm just going to go
Ask him what the numbers are like. He's,
tracheostomy on my dog.
Daisy's come to check what's going on here. It's nothing.
Yes, and as for Haiti walking past your screen 25 times, and you please tell your wife to stop putting her nose in it.
I'm not telling her that. It's a home environment. I said as long as she's
It's
dressed.
more like a home invasion. Stevie. Please, momento.
Thank goodness I'm not recording as well, because that would be this whole podcast. It would just be dogs barking.
Look at these two have come. Guys, it's Anton's dog. You don't need to worry. That is so.
Never a dull moment.
No.
I think that's a very important question, because can you just hold for 1 second? Guys, I'm busy in the middle of a podcast. Can we cut it out? Can we go upstairs and shh? Okay. Sorry, go upstairs and shh. Go upstairs. Marco, you're not recording it.
And the dog.
Take the dog. Please tell them take the dog, but please keep quiet. Okay, so do you want to ask me that question
Unfortunately,
again?
it's all been recorded.
Marco,
I
one
think,
day I'm going to come, I'm going to find you and I'm going to shave your eyebrows off.
Thank you for watching and listening, and see you in 2022.
Oh boy, he was recording this.
I was recording all of it.
Okay, you know what, I'm actually going to start keeping quiet until you ask. Every time I
He was loving every minute ago of that.
It's a synthesis podcast. How can you not be in a good mood?